Wait, is it recording? You already know scrolling is bad for your attention span and your emotional intelligence. But you've probably already tried to stop scrolling and it just hasn't worked out. I also had tried multiple times, but it only worked until I did this. Here's how I stopped scrolling. Think about it like this. Scrolling is like fighting the Ender Dragon. Yep, we're bringing Minecraft into this. Imagine you spawn in Minecraft, right? And you go straight to the Ender Dragon. Nothing, just bare body. What happens? You get your ass whooped. And that's because you just spawned in. You're level 1. How are you meant to fight the last boss of the game with level 1 gear? That's why instead of that, you should fight the enemies that you can be. In this case, maybe it's just the normal ass mobs, or like the skeletons, the zombies. And then you get the XP, then you enchant and blah blah blah. You get better basically. And then once you get proper loot, like iron, you repeat the process. Get diamond loot. Once you've beaten the level 5 enemies, in this weird ass analogy, what you do next is you beat the level 6 enemies. And then level 7, then level 8, until you get the level 100. And then by that time, you'll have the gear required to fight the Ender Dragon. Scrolling is an addiction. An addiction being where you know something is bad for you, but you can't stop. So what you're trying to effectively do by just stopping scrolling, when one day you're scrolling for 8 hours a day, and then the next day you're like, nope, not today, I'm locked in. What you're basically doing is trying to beat the Ender Dragon with a wooden stick. That's literally a death wish. It just won't work. You don't have the gear needed to kill the Ender Dragon. And then you fail. That's why you have to fight the enemies you can beat. You have to do the time you can do. Let's say, for example, you scored 5 hours today. So, you think tomorrow you can maybe do 4 hours 50 minutes? Or if that's too hard, 4 hours 55 minutes? Probably, right? And just repeat that. That's literally it. And so with this method, what you will find is it's a lot easier to acclimate, adapt. Because it's just a gradual decrease. It's not like the graph's and it goes, it's like this. And as you acclimate, it feels not as hard. It'll feel uncomfortable, yes, but it won't feel as difficult as just going cold turkey. This is why going cold turkey doesn't work for most people. They can't adapt fast enough. Another way that I stopped scrolling is, increasing friction. This idea comes from a book called Atomic Habits. The idea that there are 4 habit laws. One being, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. We're focusing on the 3rd law here, but we invert it, flip it, because we want to get rid of the bad habit, not build a good habit. So how can we make it hard? We can use a certain extension to hide it from a certain device. Well, the extension I used was Stay Free, and it just gets rid of shorts. It's pretty nice because I don't think there's a way you can get rid of shorts on YouTube itself. That way, it means that I either A, have to go into another device, or you can download the extension to prevent that, or B, I have to disable the extension, which is 2 clicks. It might not seem like a lot, but you'll be surprised about how little friction is required to stop you from scrolling. Unless you're scrolling for 20 hours a day, then the friction will have a pretty meaningful effect on how often you scroll. Additionally, the cue, how you get to actually thinking about the habit, is going to be more hidden because you can't see the shorts. You could also research about the negative impact of scrolling, so such as the reduced attention span, and the time it takes up, the emotional changes within you, as that will make it seem less attractive, so you're less likely to do it. Another way I increased the friction of scrolling is I made it less enjoyable as I scrolled. What I did is I turned my phone black and white. I know. You've officially went over the boundaries of being a normal person and now you're just like, I don't know, really weird. But when you turn it black and white, it becomes less stimulating. So overall, you don't enjoy the experience. It's not as fun. And when it's not as pleasurable, your brain is less likely to repeat it, which means the habit becomes a bit weaker. And whenever you're trying to stop scrolling, you gotta use everything you got against it because it's an addiction. But that's roughly the short run, as my economics teacher, Miss McDougall, would say. In the long run, habit change only occurs if your identity changes. You might know this guy called Mark Manson, the guy who wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Truck. And while it does talk about not giving a truck, you know what else it talks about? Identity. It talks about being uncertain about your identity. But we won't get into that. But there's one law that I just want to pick up from him. The more something threatens your identity, the more you'll avoid it. And you may be asking, how does that work? So basically, your identity is like the idea your brain has of who you are. So for example, let's say I show up to football training for 3 years every single week. Well, my identity would be a footballer. But not only that, I would also get the identity of being a committed and disciplined person. So if your identity comes from experience, then that's how you change it. The way you change your identity is by making votes for who you want to be. Let's say I scroll for 10 hours a day and want to stop scrolling. What you do is think about the person who could achieve that. Because most of the time we only think about the result and sometimes the process. But what's more important is your identity. Think of it like an onion. So you got the results on the outside, the process in the middle, and then your identity in the innermost circle. So we change our identity by making votes on who we want to become. So instead of saying, I don't want to scroll, so I'll do all this and that, what you do is say, I want to become someone who's disciplined and can focus for a long time. Now, you've got to focus on who you want to become, and you become that person by taking the actions it would take. What would a focused and disciplined person do, for example? And you do that. That's it. You could even go as far as gaslighting yourself to think that you can do that, or you are already that person. You might think this is an unhealthy way of doing it, but the idea that you can fake it till you make it has been proven many times. When Muhammad Ali was fighting Sonny Liston, he was the underdog. No one expected him to win. But he went around bragging, saying, oh, I'm going to whoop this guy's ass. I'm going to beat him in X round. I'm going to beat him in like less than 10 rounds. And it kind of worked. He did beat him. And then that's where we got the iconic pose of like the over the guy. Eventually, your habits will change. And when that happens, it's because your identity has changed. So your identity will stop you from scrolling. Think of it like this. Your identity is a little bit like an elastic band. Let's say you want to be productive, but your identity is that you're very unfocused, undisciplined, can't work well. Well, you can try to work well and be focused, but it just won't work. You'll just keep stretching the elastic band more and more until it just snaps back to who you are. But if we change it and think that I am a productive person who just slips up sometimes, then when you're scrolling, you're watching videos, or you're just not doing what you're meant to be, your identity will pull you back. So instead of identity working against you, we can have identity work with us. And with this, habit change becomes a lot easier. So there's this guy in my class, pretty smart guy, pretty techie at maths. But whenever I'm in the same subject as him, I see him always either playing games or scrolling in class. I know. I didn't want to do this, but I'm going around. Why is everyone playing games around me in class? Please stop. There's like one person who probably hasn't played games in class. Be normal students, please. Just don't. So this guy, he has the identity of being someone who scrolls and plays game in classes. However, I, being the focused student, I have the identity of being, well, a normal student. I'm not saying this to be like, oh, I'm so much better, or I'm superior to these guys because I'm on self-improve. I don't care if you believe me. It's kind of the truth. But I'm saying this to show that how identity can either work with you or against you. It's part of human nature. So if your identity is working with you, it becomes a lot easier. While you can get rid of the stuff that makes it harder to scroll, because your identity will stop you from scrolling, it's still better if you have it. Because it's like, let's say you want to stop eating Oreos because you're a fat ass and you eat like 2 packs of Oreos every day. Do you think it would be easier to not eat Oreos if you have Oreos in the kitchen cabinet downstairs, or there are no Oreos in your house? Obviously, when there are no Oreos in your house, because then you have to walk to the store, which is like getting steps in. You'd have to go up to like the aisle where the Oreos is. You gotta like give it to a cashier or like scan it, and you have to come back, take all your like jacket and stuff off. You see how much friction that adds? So that's why, if something adds friction, don't get rid of it if it's for a bad habit. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, I got 3 subscribers. Let's go. Thank you for the subscribers. Greatly appreciated. Supports me in order to make these videos, which is always sick. Thanks a lot, guys. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. Anyway, that's enough of me getting all sentimental and shit. Remember to take action, otherwise this video is useless. Bye bye.